absolutely wild as Vern Gagne's All-Star Wrestling goes coast to coast and continent to continent. The greatest wrestlers in the world.
He may be an apprentice carpenter, but I guarantee you he is a seasoned ring veteran.
I've been hit with bar stools, bar rags, barmaids.
I'm talking to you.
They're scared that Hulkamania's still running wild. Oh, yeah. I got a big fat wife and 9 kids at home, and I gotta feed them.
And take a look at Jesse the Body in real life.
Open your hand once if you would.
You want the sick?
This is absolutely unbelievable. Totally, completely out of control.
He's coming in over the top. Hey! Look out!
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to a cold and chaotic Minneapolis, Minnesota. But we are inside. We are warm, but we are still chaotic. That's Polish Joe, and that's Slick Mick. Guys, that's the best way I can tie in all that nonsense to what we're dealing with. But we're going to do a show. We're going to try and take everybody's mind off of all of the gobbledygook that's going on around us. We're like the meme where like the dog's sitting at the table and the fire's around him. And we're like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Yep. Think of us as the AWA Unleashed. We are the eye of whatever's going on. And we're just going to block out all that outside noise for the next hour-ish or so.
Well said, well said. And if you don't live in Minneapolis, in the area, you have no idea. I mean, you can see it on the news, but you know what? But we are the respite, and yeah, let's have some laughs and some fun for an hour or so, and put that other shit aside.
It's I guess apropos to say that it's a no DQ going on in Minneapolis right now.
Yes.
Which ties right into today's episode. It's a no DQ&A where we answer your questions.
Yes, yeah, sir. We are in a wrestling match where the referee is always looking away.
That's right.
Oh,
the referee is always looking away.
But that's every wrestling match. I mean, come on.
That's true. That's true.
Good point. Yeah.
Well, we're happy to be back here, guys. Happy to have Mick with us, who was a little under the weather last week. Had some scheduling things, so that's why we did the. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the free Super Clash watch along, which is what our pinfall members get. If you're a pinfall member, you've seen it before. If you're not a pinfall member, hopefully you enjoyed it, and we get a bunch more watch alongs under our exclusive pinfall membership. Which, by the way, guys, I guess just for shits and giggles, I'll show you guys what that pinfall membership is all about. It's actually what we consider the best value in wrestling podcasting. $4.99 a month. You see it right there. You get access to the pod a day early. Obviously, we've got some chaos going on in Minneapolis, so we're kind of dealing within the kerfuffle of everything that's going on. Most of the time, you're going to get it a day early. Access to the monthly video watch along, which is what we had last week. You get the Back to Ringside with Mick and myself, which is where we talk about the current state of the business. It's just, maybe about an hour or so once a week where we're not reviewing shows. We're just kind of talking about topics in the current wrestling business. You get a personalized thank you letter from me with an AWA Unleashed sticker and magnet. Might not be much, but I put the effort in for you. And 5 photos from Slick Mix Pics. So there we go. For $4.99 a month. The sign up is in the description on the YouTube. And if you're just listening in audio form and you want to check it out on YouTube, that is a good way to do that. Also, you guys
hold on, Chris.
Go ahead.
One thing I want to point out that $4.99 price has not changed since we started the pinfall membership. So unlike inflation, unlike prices at the grocery store, our prices have remained steady.
We're the anti-TKO, right?
There you go.
Right. Yeah. TKO, WWA are raising their prices. Our price stays the same.
Yep.
It's $4.99 a month. You know what? It's not much. We enjoy it. and the more pinfall members that we have, the more content we can crank out. So if you like this, if you like what we do, $4.99 a month, then you get more subscribers, more members, the more we do. And we will do as much work as you guys would like us to do. By the way, guys, as well, we do have our TeePublic, which again, I keep saying that I'm going to put things up. I've been a little bit busy with things, but we do have teepublic.com. I'm looking for the you know what? I can't even find it, but I will find it. I will put it on there. And you get Slick Mick, you get AWA Unleashed merchandise. Go to TeePublic and search Unleash Plus. I'll put the banner up throughout the course of the show. Okay, so now without any further ado, before we get into the no DQ&A here, Mick, I know that you've got something you want to address.
Yeah, you know, it's what we do here, and we announce the passing of some of the boys from the past. Specifically the AWA's past. And I've mentioned Bob Boyer on this show many, many times. Bob was, I think in today's wrestling, would probably be considered a cruiserweight or just above. Bob was 93 years old, and God bless him, he passed away just a couple of weeks back. I mentioned many times he had matches with Eddie Sharkey here in the Twin Cities area, a series of matches where all the winner would get a shot at Danny Hodge for the junior heavyweight championship. And every time I would see Eddie, we would talk about Bob Boyer because we didn't know what happened to him. Is he still around or whatever? We got the news that Bob passed. A great journeyman wrestler, wrestled all over the country, and also wrestled as Bobby Bold Eagle in some locales. So, yeah, this one hit Eddie hard as well. You know, one of his old compadres from back in the day. So rest in peace, Bob Boyer. Great guy, great talent, and Godspeed. There you go.
All right, there you go. I wanted to keep it quiet while you were paying your respects to Bob Boyer. Let's get into the no DQ&A here, guys. And Joe, if you wouldn't mind doing the honors, and then the ones for Joe.
I can ask them all.
You want to read them all, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, if that makes it easier on you, that's fine.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that. See, production meeting on the air. Hey, it's 2026, same still unprofessionalism. So bottoms up to half-assing this thing together.
There we go.
Obvious. All right, let's get it rolling here. Question one. This is for you, Mick, and it's from Jim Sherman. Decades-long fan here. I lived in Louisiana for a time and remember a Dr. X that wrestled there. Was that the same Dr. X that wrestled in the AWA?
It was not. Thank you for the question. That Dr. X, which looked an awful lot like the one that we had up here, who was, of course, Dick Beyer, that is Jim Osborne, who wrestled in the southern part of the United States as Dr. X. Coincidentally, he wrestled up here for a short time as the tag team partner of Dick Beyer as Double X. So he was Double X. He lost an X on his way down south, but continued the legacy of Dr. X. Jim Red Osborne, great veteran of the sport. So yes, completely different people, but very close ties nonetheless.
You got to
so
love
if they had a six-man tag, would they be Triple X?
Probably, yeah. As you know, something that you're very familiar with, you know, Triple X rated or whatever it is. But yeah, absolutely. Jim Osborne, Dr. X, Double X.
Question two, Chris. This one's for you, and it's from Andy Litwin.
Okay.
Have you guys ever thought about getting Boris Zukov on the show? And thanks for all the laughs.
I know that we have we've talked about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mick, but I believe that you have reached out to him, and see, I don't remember him in the AWA. I remember him as part of the Bolsheviks in WWF with Nikolai Volkov. So to me, to see Boris Zukov is just I mean, like I can look in the nose and the eyes and everything. Yeah, I mean, I know that we've talked about it, and I think that you have either reached out, Mick, or you've been looking to reach out, but I don't know that as much as we would like to. I don't think that it's going to be logistically possible, but I would love to. I mean, I know there's a lot of meat on the bone there.
Yeah, and that picture, of course, is Boris in his days as Private Jim Nelson. He was teaming up with Don Kernodle in the Mid-Atlantic area. So yes, he went from Private Jim from the United States.
Was Boris here, by the way? Was Boris from here?
No. Boris actually is from down south. He does speak with a little bit of a southern drawl. Terrific guy. And I have reached out for him. He used to have a considerable Facebook presence. He doesn't now, but I have seen him on some podcasts, and I know he's made appearances at some of the reunions. So it would be great to get him on the air. And here in the AWA, of course, teaming up with our buddy Soldad Ustinov. Boris was a big-time player, and you can't really tell with the camouflage hat on. But according to Chris Markov, look at the size of the man's head. But Boris is covering his head quite well there. But terrific guy, very soft-spoken Southern gentleman, Boris Zukov.
I do see the shadow on the wall, so I can tell it's a wee bit large.
Yeah, he's got a cranium on him, no doubt.
Question number 3. Mick, this one is from you, and it's from Dave Truex. I loved the series between Rick Martel and Stan Hansen. Were they friends off camera?
Absolutely. Two divergent personalities, if there ever were two. We've talked many times on this show, guys, about how Stan Hansen and Rick Martel, that feud, so underrated. It was so damn good. And it showed that Rick Martel could brawl with the best of them. Doesn't get much better than Stan Hansen when it comes to brawling. But look at these two guys reuniting there. I asked Stan one time about his feud with Rick Martel, and Stan got a smile on his face, and he said, Rick is one classy guy. So I'm sure that they had the utmost respect for each other. I think this picture is a great example of that. And again, if you have an opportunity to watch some of the Hansen Martel stuff from the 1980s AWA, it is stellar.
It was that Super Clash that we just showed last week. That was really the first time that I saw the brawling Rick Martel. He was a scientific, clean, no nonsense type of wrestler and then world champion. But that was a different side of Rick Martel at Super Clash. And if you've not been able to see it, go back and take a look at last week, and you'll get a taste of Rick Martel going toe-to-toe with the bad man from Borger, Texas, Stan Hansen.
There is no more fan-friendly guy when he does show up at these events than Rick Martel. So, hats off. Great feud, Hansen and Martel.
Question 4 is for me, and it's from Vaughn Nelson. What did you think of the feud between Sergeant Slaughter and Colonel De Beers? I think it was a great angle in terms of you've got the America's hero Sergeant Slaughter against the South African racist Colonel De Beers. South Africa against USA, although it really wasn't in a real world. We weren't at war with South Africa, but it fit well as far as the gimmicks were involved. Two guys that could work well. I think Sergeant Slaughter's gimmick is more familiar with everybody, and Colonel De Beers was pretty much restricted here to the AWA. But I enjoyed it. Like many angles in the later 80s of the AWA, probably would have had more meat on the bone if it would have been done during the heyday of the AWA. And I'm talking late 70s into about 83 and even into 84. But I thought it worked, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they paid it off at Super Clash 3. Am I remembering correctly on that?
I believe you are. And the interesting thing, we've talked about this before. It's surprising that Vern let that angle out, that he let it go, the racist angle. And I mean, he played it to the hilt. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the apartheid in South Africa and what have you, but that was really risque stuff back then. And if you're a conservative guy like Vern Gagne was in some of the angles he put out, that was shocking that he let that stuff go and let De Beers talk as he did in his
Was it maybe out of desperation, though, because he kind of knew where it was going? And I mean, maybe did he need something that would kind of shock people into paying attention, retuning in?
I don't know if it was that with Vern, and this is not to be critical of Vern. I don't know that he was paying that much attention to the little details later on in the AWA, and as Vern was starting to get a little bit older.
Well, but keep in mind that when he was going against Slaughter, it wasn't as much. It wasn't like the angle against Derek Dukes.
Yeah,
so,
right.
You know, the Dukes angle, the racism was up here, and then it got toned down a little bit by the time it got to Slaughter, because, well, Slaughter is a white guy.
Yeah.
You know, so there wasn't as much of a racial angle, and it really turned more into USA versus South Africa. And as I had mentioned, that's why it was like, I mean, the angle was all right, but we didn't have any heat against South Africa at the time. Yeah, so, you know, it was military against military more so when it came to Sergeant Slaughter versus Colonel De Beers.
Very good point, and two really nice guys, Bob Remus and Ed Wiskoski, two of the greatest guys. I mean, they were just delightful to talk to. So, late 80s, AWA.
Okay, question 5. This one is for the entire crew, and it's from Andrea Hawk. So many of the wrestlers did not use their real last names. Do you know if Bobby Heenan was his real name? Didn't he have a brother who wrestled?
Great question, Andrea. And imagine that, wrestlers not using their real last names. There is Mr. Heenan, but it is Raymond Lewis Heenan. That was Bobby's given name. I'm not quite sure where the name Bobby came from. Maybe Bruiser gave it to him, not sure. But Raymond Lewis Heenan was Bobby the Brain Heenan. And did he have a brother? In wrestling, believe it or not, every once in a while they have a kayfabe brother, one that really was not a brother. And Bobby did have one, and that was a guy by the name of Guy Mitchell, who had wrestled here in the AWA area, and also he had wrestled as the Stomper, Guy Mitchell, not the Mongolian Stomper. He also had wrestled extensively in the Indianapolis area as Guy Heenan. And as a matter of fact, he did Guy Heenan, a.k.a. Guy Mitchell, into Jerry Valiant, the third Valiant brothers. So he had kind of a crazy career with the musical chairs of name games. But yeah, Bobby Heenan, Raymond Lewis Heenan with the gimmick brother, Guy Heenan.
I got a comment on the photo. Even in his passport, he looks like a heel.
Doesn't he? Isn't that great? I love that.
Got the little Elvis scowl going up on the one side. He just, yeah. I mean, if I was working at customs and I'd see that photo, I don't think I'd let him into the country.
There you go. Oh, yeah. But, thanks for the question, Andrea. Imagine that, wrestlers changing their names. As
No,
Nick
never
Bockwinkel
happened.
said, of course, that's my real name. Who in the world would pick Bockwinkel? So, there you go.
Okay, moving on. Question 6. This one's for you, Chris, and it's from George T. Arnold. Longtime fan, first time question here. I remember way back when Paul Ellering and Steve-O teamed up in the AWA. Have either of them appeared on the show?
We have. I know that Mick, you had been in contact with Paul Ellering, and he was going to do the show, but then he was under a WWE Legends deal. So obviously there was a conflict there. I don't believe he's got the conflict now, but I could be wrong. Steve-O, we've emailed with Steve, and we did have we were close to getting him on, and on just like a work schedule sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, we've been working on Steve-O, been working on Precious Paul. I know that I think it was more the contractual thing with Paul. And as for Steve-O, I mean, I've got his email. I've been, but we tried, and we're gonna keep trying. We'll keep trying to get him on.
We do get a lot of requests for Steve-O. He had a pretty.
I don't think he realizes how in demand he is.
I agree with that. I think he's been so removed from the business. Ellering's been around it continuously, but Steve-O does his insurance thing here in the Twin Cities area. Probably doesn't realize he's got that following. So we'll keep plugging.
Probably more of a baby face now than he was back then.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, let's move on to question 7. Mick, this one's for you, and it's from Colossal Chris Lewis.
Like it.
Mick, where do you rate Sheik Adnan El Kaissie in the AWA's managerial history? Always look forward to your good-natured banter, guys.
Yes, good-natured. You fuckers.
Good-natured banter. Sheik Adnan El Kaissie. Joe, I think you would tend to agree with the heat that Adnan got here in the AWA. There he is right now, old Sheik Ski General Adnan. The heat that this man got in the AWA at his heyday when he was managing Blackwell or Ken Patera or whoever.
I feel the heat. Looking at the picture, I feel the heat right now.
Absolutely. And the heat that he had here was typical wrestling fan. I don't like you, I hate your guts heat. When he went out to the WWF, he got, we want to kill you legitimately kind of heat. The timing, of course, when he went out east was right as the Desert Storm situation was transpiring. That was volatile shit. I mean, that was look out. And he and his family were getting death threats. So was the Sarge when they did the Iraqi sympathizer gimmick. But how do I rate Adnan? Spectacular. His bump taking aside, which we won't talk about, but as a manager with his harem is waiting and they're going to have a parade for him, and the Iraqi army is marching downtown Baghdad as we speak, waiting for him to come home. You prick. Adnan is he's right up there. You got Bobby Heenan, and in my estimation, maybe Sherry Martel, Adnan El Kaissie, one of the all-time greats in the business.
Yeah, I've said it 100 times before. Bobby Heenan, number one, not only in the AWA, but in all of wrestling for the greatest overall performer. I would put Adnan second, but as the question, as I was reading the question and you're answering it, Mick, I was just thinking over the course of the 30 years of the AWA, there was really maybe 10 or 12 managers. And the reason I would put Adnan over Sherry is Adnan had a longer run in the AWA. Sherry, as a manager or manageress, as some called her back in the day, it really wasn't for that long, maybe a couple of years before she left for the WWF.
Right.
So factoring that in, I would definitely put Adnan as number 2 in my book.
And you know, it's interesting too. Adnan, of course, the first half of his career, which I believe was about a 30-year-long career, he's a babyface. He's playing a Native American, Billy White Wolf, and of course went out to the WWF and was part of a tag team championship team out there as Billy White Wolf. Of the two, I think Adnan probably enjoyed being Sheik Adnan a little bit more than he did Billy White Wolf. Number one, not because of the heritage, because he was Iraqi, period. He was not a native of the United States, Native American, but also Adnan got a real kick out of being a devious SOB. And his sense of humor would come through many times at ringside. If you could get Adnan to break up and laugh, he'd cover his mouth, but you could see those eyes dancing. He loved what he did, and I agree with you, Joe. He's a man among men. Miss the guy terribly.
Your bicycle story is just still
Oh.
It's one of my favorite stories of all time when it comes to Adnan. Like I can hear that story 100 times and I giggle every time.
You know what? We'll tell that story again down the road because we've told it a few times. But only Adnan. And man, between his breath and his hearty laugh and his sticking his sword up somebody's rear end, this guy was a character with a capital C. Love him.
As a testament to the fact that he was indeed Iraqi, he actually he died here in Minneapolis, and he had his body shipped back to Iraq to be buried.
One of Saddam Hussein's cabinet members at one point, and then it got to the point where he could not return to Iraq because they looked at him as a traitor for venturing to and living in the United States. What a story.
All right, question 8, and this one is for the guys from Keith Weitermacher. And if I've mispronounced any of these names, I do apologize. With a name like Chupik, I know all too well. Butchered many times, many ways, and I quit giving a shit many, many years ago. Close is good enough.
Well, I understand, Cupcake. It's okay.
Hey, I do too, Toothpick. Everything is fine.
Okay, crotch and tubes. Here we go with the question from Keith. Did any of you guys see the 2020 story back in the day where Eddie Mansfield exposed wrestling? If so, how did you feel about it?
I'll let you guys go first because I know I'm going to have a completely different view on it.
Okay. There it is right there. That is from 2020. And what Eddie Mansfield is doing there is he is demonstrating the art of blading or gigging, as they say in the business. He and a journeyman wrestler by the name of Jim Wilson.
Giggity?
Pardon me?
Is it giggity? Like Quagmire from Family? Oh, gigging.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I was thinking giggity.
No, close enough. And he's doing it right there. He's exposing the business because he and Jim Wilson had a beef with a promoter. I don't know that having a personal beef with a promoter over your payoff or whatever should open the door to you going on national, worldwide television and selling out your brethren, your compatriots. I don't think so. He got a lot of heat. He got some death threats after this happened, but then he was welcome. I wouldn't say welcome, but then he came back into business and he continued his career. How did I feel about it? I hated it. I hated when Vince McMahon exposed the business.
Well, Vince did it for tax reasons.
Yeah, exactly. This was a personal vendetta on the Continental Lover, Eddie Mansfield, on his part. And I mentioned this before, not a week or two afterward, Jerry Blackwell is in a cage match in the Twin Cities, and he's facing the audience, and he starts to gig. And everybody who had seen 2020 is yelling, he's got a razor blade. He's got a razor blade. And I guess that was also a part of the beginning of the absolute end of the kayfabe era.
I hated it. It's like exposing a magician's trick. It's like, now you guys might like this, but it's like seeing a hot gal naked for the first time before you see her dressed up nicely. It's too much exposure. I'll even compare it to this, like the internet, where people go to try to find the inside dirt or to expose somebody's secret that is illegal, but why do you want to know? Why, I shouldn't say why do you want to know. Why do you need to know? It's like pulling back the curtain on the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It changed wrestling for the worse, in my opinion. And I'll leave it at that.
See, and for me, being a teenager, I was, fascinated with wrestling, and I see that, and to me, I was like, oh my God, like I get to see it. I get to see how this is really done. So I was just, as a kid, I was captivated because, I'm seeing now I'm kind of in on it, right? Like I know that it's still physical. I still don't know if it's real. I don't know what it's about, but I know that there's something that I'm getting to see that I shouldn't. And Joe, I think you mentioned the fact that, or maybe it was you, Mick, where, the magicians, the David Copperfield, it's like, I'm going to make the Statue of Liberty disappear in these primetime specials. I'm like, wow, okay, this is cool. But, I'm still a young, impressionable kid, whereas I hadn't been in the business. So I'm looking at it like, this is really cool. You see the tape on the finger and you see the tape on the wrist, and then you start to watch matches differently after that.
Absolutely.
I'm like, oh, okay, they've got this. So, I didn't mind it because I was a kid, but I understand how people can look at it and be pissed. I'm surprised that somebody could be ostracized and then brought back in. Like, to me, it's like, once you do that, it's like cheating on your spouse. Once you cheat on your spouse or on your relationship, like it's done. You forever sullied that relationship. I thought that the relationship between he and everybody in the business would be irreparable because he was the first one.
Some promoters, believe it or not, Chris, when he came back into the business, and it wasn't a big splash that he came back with, but they're booking him on the basis of the controversy because everybody knew Eddie Mansfield.
Yeah, okay.
So
makes sense.
It was the old red to green, or red turns to green, and Mansfield had that kind of a reputation at that point. And again, that was probably secondary to Vince. That opened up the floodgates. But the problem is now everybody's
in on it.
Where's the camera angle? Oh, well, when did he gig? I didn't see that, and so on and so forth. So the business has changed completely, up to and including, as you and I talked, Chris, last week on the Unreal television series.
Yeah,
it's all out there. What was interesting about that is that there were some people who did not believe Eddie Mansfield, even when he gigged on television and showed how it was done. People are, oh, come on. They're not really going to cut themselves with a razor blade, are they?
That sounds stupid to do if you do that to yourself, but it's right. People do stupid shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but Eddie Mansfield, he's got a Facebook presence. He's still out there. And he's out there. Yeah, he is. Be an interesting guest at some point. But Eddie might be one of those guys that asks for a couple of bucks, and it's not in the coffers, as they say here. But quite a character, the Continental Lover, Eddie Mansfield.
Here's the one thing that I did take when it got exposed, even though I was in the business when that came out. It still struck me, and quite honestly still strikes me to this day, that somebody actually takes a piece of a razor blade and runs it across their forehead. I mean, I get a paper cut, and I'm screaming for
Thank
like
you.
37 hours.
I was just gonna say that I'm a paper cut pussy.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. They're horrible.
So to think
Get the
of
t-shirt.
doing that, not only like maybe doing it once in a while, but think of the Abdullah the Butchers,
Yeah.
the Bruiser Brodies, the
The
Walter
Dusties.
Daniels, the guys whose foreheads look like railroad tracks, as we used to call them. And not only is it gutsy, but it's like fucking insane, to be quite honest with
Well,
you.
and you didn't have the health precautions back then. Like, how do you know it doesn't get infected? Or you know, I mean, it's like, remember Sabu in the old ECW? I mean, you rip your bicep, you don't have it. You just tape some athletic tape on it, and you keep going. It's like you're literally got skin ripped and you're bleeding, and it's just like, I'll just put some tape on it.
Yep.
You know, it's a badge of honor for the guys. A lot of them. And then you get guys who, you know, and Bockwinkel gigged occasionally, but not to the extent, obviously, that a Bobby Heenan did or somebody like that. Vern, I don't think I ever saw Vern gig in his life. Greg, we know, did on occasion. It's interesting stuff. And, you know, there's, believe it or not, I mean, it's kind of an art. I hate to say it, but not only the tape on the wrist, but where they place the blade, and then they may do one of these to, you know, as they're bleeding, to get the blood to flow a little bit more. They would take an aspirin if they were going to bleed heavily. They would take an aspirin before they went out to the ring to get that flow going. So an interesting part of the wrestling business, but now everybody's doing it just gratuitously, and doesn't mean so much anymore. So there you go.
One other thing I'll add to it is, it is dangerous. It can be dangerous. I think of Mad Dog. You know, didn't he cut too deep and got to an artery?
Yeah, he did. Working against Crusher on television.
Yeah,
and I think that was partially Crusher's fault, because he kicked the dog as the dog was bleeding and hit an artery. And 26 stitches later, the dog is in the hospital. We saw it with Sergeant Slaughter and Pat Patterson in their alley fight in the WWF, where Sarge is actually going into the turnbuckle, you know, springboards off and blades in midair as he's coming off. And my God, the guy, was like a squirt gun. Pretty serious stuff. There you go.
Dangerous, and I'll say it again, insane for me. I ain't doing it. Ouch, paper cut.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to question 9. Mick, this one is for you. It's from Jim Bourgier and Bruce Cameron. We love when you put up those old news clips with so many misspellings. Do you have a favorite?
Chris, if we got this news clip, I want to put my glasses on because I don't want to miss anything here. This may be one of the worst I've ever seen. And, you know, some of them are correct, but I want to go through this. You have Chief Wahoo McDaniel, not one name. You go over to Colonel Leon Amelini, like.
Mabosa.
Yeah, we have Mabosa Michela. We have Mike Enos, very close to Enos. Yeah.
It would have been better if they replaced the E with an A. Mike Enos.
Yeah, just minus the A there. We got Mike Enos. And if you've ever had a painful Enos, you know it can be real serious stuff.
I mean, that's something that if you have a painful Enos, go see your doctor if it persists more than 48 hours.
Immediately. Don't hesitate. It's up in Canada, and this is the Super Clash Canadian Tour. I think it was a predecessor, Joe, to the crowd that they had at the Kerry Von Erich, Jerry Lawler Super Clash. But nonetheless, what was this proofreader? Was he having into the Jack and Coke at 2 a.m.?
Well, maybe this was Canadian, though. I mean, people spell things differently than we do here in the States. Maybe this is how it's supposed to be spelled in Canada.
Nice try on the face, but no.
Mabosa Michela. Mabosa. That's
Well, and even though it's spelled correctly, I'm going to say I'm pretty confident that it wasn't Greg Gagne versus the Iron Sheik. That would have most likely been Adnan El Kaissie.
I don't know. And not only that, but I know that they always say I before E except after C, but not in the case of a Sheik. The Sheik is actually EI. That's how you spell Sheik, is SHEI. So that's another mistake there. I'm just looking around. Well, they've spelled ringside correctly. They've spelled the word tickets. They're okay there.
Or Nord or Bay.
Yeah. But nonetheless, when you got a card with Colonel Gilliard and Mabosa Michela and Mike Enos and Chief McDaniel, you've got quite a show.
Who?
Yeah.
Who?
Wahoo.
What?
Well, they used to say that at the football games. Tackle made by Wahoo McDaniels. Wahoo.
Yep. There you love the world of wrestling where proofreaders and editors just didn't give a shit.
Yes, and I will have to correct myself. You're correct. Sheik is misspelled. I had said that it was, even though it was spelled right, but it's still the wrong wrestler.
God. All right. All
right.
We go.
Question 10, Chris. This one's for you, and it's from Gary Lindholt. I've heard you mention on the show before that you worked with Nick Dinsmore, also known as Eugene.
Yep.
Can you tell us about that? And even though he's not AWA, I'd love to hear him on your pod.
Great question.
Yeah. So, not AWA related, but when I was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I was hosting an afternoon program, and then I found out that Nick Dinsmore, his wife at the time, was from Sioux Falls. She was a Miss South Dakota. So they moved up to Sioux Falls, or he moved up to Sioux Falls, and I got word, so I got in contact with him, and he started a promotion, Midwest All Pro. So I helped him book some of the events. I reached out to some of the talent, helped him actually find a building to put a training facility in. I was kind of an MC. I didn't manage and wrestle, didn't do any of that, but I did kind of the pre-match warm-ups and stuff like that. So I was the very first one in Midwest All Pro Wrestling to get into Nick Dinsmore's ring, even before our very first show downtown Sioux Falls. So yeah, when I moved away and I got a job at a national network in Jefferson City, Missouri, at Learfield, I kind of stepped away from it a little bit. And Nick and I were still friends. I go back and help him periodically, but I haven't talked to him as much. I think he's down in Florida now. I'm still in contact with him periodically. So I don't think there's any reason we might not be able to get him as a pinfall member. I mean, he's a nice guy. His mom was super, super sweet. She's a sweetheart. So, I worked the gimmick table for him and Carlito at a Magnum show in Omaha. Fun fact.
Wow. No kidding.
So I did work the gimmick table for Carlito and Eugene, and that was a trip.
It's quite a history you got there. And I'm thinking as you're talking here, even it's not that far much later, but could they get away with doing a Eugene gimmick in this day and age?
No,
I
don't.
Another one of those things you can't do it. Yeah, well,
you'd have to make it obviously a caricature, and I thought Nick, it was over the top, right? And it wasn't the thing about the Eugene character is it wasn't meant to be detrimental. It was meant as a role model for some of the kids out there.
Sure.
That didn't have anybody to look up to. You know what I mean? So that was part of it. I understand how people can find it offensive, but I think what Nick tried to do with it just to go over the top. So, for representation, more or less is what he was trying to do. I know Nick. I know that it was never done with the intent to be mocking or harmful.
Let's get him on the show if you can, Tubbsy. You're the
Again,
you're
it's
the
just, yeah.
you're the link. All right.
I will say I enjoyed the gimmick. I didn't find it offensive because Chris, you're right. It didn't. It wasn't like Colonel De Beer's gimmick to reference back. It was more subtle. I mean, it approached the line several times, but I enjoyed the gimmick. I really did.
I did too.
And thinking back, and this is before Ivan Putski, because I don't think he was the innocent character that the mighty Igor was. In a lot of ways, Igor coming out with stuffed teddy bears and everything else and being real childlike.
Yeah,
that was like 30 years ahead of its time too. But Chris, if you can, work your magic and get Nick on the show, that would be great.
Yeah. I can text him right after we get done.
Perfect.
Okay, let's move on. Our next question, number 11, is for you, Mick, and it's from Isaac Mays. Thank you for all you've done for the business. I'm sure you've socked away thousands of dollars that you've earned.
Mick and his socks. I mean,
My question is, besides Billy Robinson, was there ever an AWA guy who was hard to do business with or refused to lose? Have you ever personally seen a guy who wouldn't cooperate? Sorry, I'm laughing because I know the answer.
Here's what I would say. First of all, Chris, I know we got a picture of two guys standing together that both had a reputation of being very difficult to work with. I hope we've got the pic. There you go. Billy Robinson, of course, we talked about Billy's reputation. And I don't know if it was so much that Billy didn't want to do business. I think it was more so that the promoters knew if they broached the subject about doing business, Billy might have been a little bit too much of a hard ass to go along with it. Mil Mascaras on the left, from everything that I have read about him over the years, he just did not want to put anybody over. I hear this consistently about him. And I don't know if it was because he was one of the original luchadors and it meant so much to him, or if he was just an egotistical bastard. But very, very few times, if you look at the record books, he just did not put anybody over. And I think between the two of them, you got a picture full of ego right in front of you.
I'll add a guy in there, and I don't think it was so much ego as his overall approach to his gimmick in the business. And that was Bruiser Brody. Brody would, he certainly put Blackwell over and put some others over, but Brody very rarely got pinned. And he was very guarded and protective of the Beast Brody, whether it was King Kong Brody or Bruiser Brody. He was very protective of that gimmick. And if I'm not mistaken, it's a big reason why he really didn't proceed or pan out when he went to the WWF. He just, no, this is my gimmick, and you can't change my mind about it. So I'm going to add Brody into that mix.
It's interesting too, Joe, about Brody. I think the difference between Robinson, Mascaras, and Brody is that Brody was, and I'm not saying Billy and Mil were dumb. Brody was a really smart guy. So he would say to the promoters, this doesn't make sense for me to do this. Sure, there's an ego involved. But, long term, why would I do this? Why would I do that? How about if we do this or that? So I think there's a difference there. But, yeah, absolutely. As far as headstrong, Brody is concerned. The follow-up question, have I ever experienced or witnessed somebody doing it? Not in the AWA, but in the AWF, the American Wrestling Federation. The brother of Buzz Sawyer, Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, his brother Brett Sawyer, real last name Woyan. I remember the very first time we all got together in the locker room for a team meeting, so to speak. There he is, passed away a couple of years ago. Tito Santana and Sarge were conducting the booking meeting, and they said, we expect you guys, even some of the veterans what they call do favors for the other guys and put them over, because we all had to start that way. And I remember Brett Sawyer said, I did not come in here to put anybody over. Nope. I got a reputation, whatever that was at the time, that I'm going to uphold. He took his bag and left. So, Brett Sawyer, again, kind of threw a little bit of a tantrum, and I was there to see it. And he walked out, and Tito just shook his head and said, okay, well, there we go. And I hope nobody else is going to do that. And, of course, nobody did.
That kind of brings me, and we can finish it up with that question here, guys, because you were talking about the Bruiser Brody thing. We hear the quote unquote 50-50 booking, and I don't even know how to approach that when people are like, oh my God, it's 50-50 booking. I think that's one of the things that's wrong with today's wrestling. Yeah. It's almost like if you get beat, you have to put somebody over. Where have we gone with sometimes stars, like you've got the enhancement, you've got your mid-carders, and you got your superstars that never lose. And people are obsessed with this 50-50 booking, but we don't have people that are, protective of their characters like the Brodies were.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's the nature of the business. As the money increased and guys became, you get everybody involved. We got to do this. We got to do that. No, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that. Well, we got to, it's just a whole different world than it was back then. But, again, with Brett Sawyer, when he left, everybody kind of shook their head and said, what? You of all people, you had your run in Georgia Championship Wrestling or whatever. But come on, buddy. Okay.
Who up here even knows who Brett Sawyer is? Like he doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole thing with wrestling is you take any business, you get any group of people involved, okay, whether 5, 10, 20 people, you're going to have a diverse group mentality. In terms of one guy thinks his shit doesn't stink, another guy will say, hey, whatever the hell is, best for the business. So it's sort of inherent, I think, in people. Unfortunately, and I guess this would apply to general life, the ego becomes too much involved to think that, yeah, my shit doesn't stink and that I am the world's greatest wrestler, or I'm going to have this run, or you know what? Hey, I know somebody that's in the WWF and they said they're going to put a word in for me. And so I can't lose here. I can't lose to this little indie league. I need to be put over because I'm going to be a big star. And it's like, dude, it's professional wrestling.
It's a work. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly. And dare I say, it's scripted. It's entertainment. It's a movie done it's a play. It's done in real life. What is best for that match, for that night, for that card, for that organization?
Yeah, that would be like a villain in a movie saying, you know what? I don't want to be killed. My character wouldn't be killed. It's like, no, your character, it's like, I don't know if anybody's seen Breaking Bad. Spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1. That's like Bryan Cranston saying, you know what? Walter White won't die. Yeah. No, Walter White dies at the end. So we know that. Sorry if you guys haven't seen Breaking Bad. I'm sorry if I just spoiled a show that's been out for, 15 years.
One of my favorite series, by the way.
It's interesting.
My 15-year-old's watching it now.
Chris and Joe, can you imagine a promoter comes into a guy and says, you're going to get paid $1,000 tonight to do the job.
Yeah.
And the guy says, well, what if I win? You're going to get paid $1,000 if you win.
Yeah.
And it's, and then we've got sellouts in Milwaukee, Green Bay, and Chicago coming up, and you're going to get your same $1,000, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
I can't. I just can't do that. And I think back to what I mentioned early on when we were talking about Eddie Mansfield. Jim Wilson was at best a journeyman wrestler, the guy that's out there with Eddie Mansfield, and you're out there exposing the business because a promoter screwed you out of what, your $162 for the week? It's just bizarre. But yeah, it happens, and I don't know. It probably doesn't happen as frequently, if ever, today as it did back in the day. But come on, don't be a baby. Just go out there and be part of this traveling road show that we all love, known as pro wrestling.
Agreed.
All right. Well, there we go. I know we had a few more, but I kind of wanted to end on that because I wanted to go a little bit deeper in terms of just exploring people, not wanting to put each other over. Speaking of putting people over, let's do our shout outs.
You guys mentioned last week when I could not do the show, Drew Sapilla. Drew, who wrestles, of course, here in the upper Midwest as the System. His fairly new bride, they were newly married, probably within the last year or so, Lily Sapilla, who wrestled as Macaulay Rose for the independent wrestling promotions, MAW, and several others, died unexpectedly a couple of years back. And I had an opportunity to talk with Lily.
She died a couple of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago. Yep.
A couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Couple of weeks. And I had an opportunity to talk with her a few times, never got real close to her, but what a bubbly personality. I mean, she was would light up the locker room. And I know that Drew was absolutely crazy about her. Which is tough to do, if you're both in the wrestling business. Sometimes, you kind of butt heads a little bit, AKA Buddy Wolf and Vivian Vachon back in the day. But Drew, I told you when I had got the news, my heart goes out to you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. I've had some contact with him recently, and it's just, let's get back to business as usual as soon as I can. And heartfelt condolences to Drew Sapilla.
Yeah, and I got to second that just every time I hear it, because I do think highly of the System or Drew as a human being. So with that, my blind dart throw shout out of the week goes to a new member of our Facebook page, Nick Godert. Welcome to the madness.
And I wonder if that's any relation to Dallas Goddard, the tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles, who is from went to school at South Dakota State. So maybe there's
no, because I named him Goddard. That's how
Goddard. Oh, okay.
That, but if he is related, hey, how about some tickets?
Yeah, I could pass on Eagles tickets.
Not if we're playing here against the Vikes.
Yeah, well, maybe. My shout out's going to go out to Jason Yerke, who also lost someone who was very close to him unexpectedly just a day or two ago. And anybody in the Twin Cities knows the Yerkes. Anybody in the upper Midwest knows the Yerkes. Dad Fred has been in the business for years. He's the ring guy. He's the ring truck guy. If you need a ring, Fred Yerke's usually there. Jason Yerke is and Dick are two of the kids. And yeah, Jason just unexpectedly lost someone close to him just a couple of days ago. And I've been messaging with him and just trying and keep him moving forward because, we do get in a position, guys, where sometimes people have a hard time moving forward when something bad happens. And just know, Jason, that people out here, and no matter who you are, if you're going through something rough, we're here. My DMs are always open. I don't care. DM me on Messenger. I'm not hard to find. Just check in on your friends. And I was checking in on Jason just the same way, Mick, that, you've checked in on Drew and Joe. I know that you've checked in on people. So that's kind of the underlying message here. Just check on your friends. Make sure that everybody's doing okay in today's day and age.
Yeah, and just to add to that a little bit, Chris, and I don't know that we should end our show on our normal ha 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 that we do, because this is pretty serious stuff. If you're not in the Twin Cities, if you're not in Minneapolis and St. Paul or Minnesota or a lot of cities around the country right now, and you don't get it, please don't stand on ceremony and tell us how to do things. This is kind of a commentary, how we should react to things. Don't pass judgment. Don't post any laughing emojis.
Thank you.
That is really the sickest of the sick, to post laughing emojis and talk about who deserved it and who didn't deserve it. This is some pretty chaotic shit that we're going through right here. Not only us, but the whole of the country is going through it right now. So in all seriousness, if we can provide you that island, that port in a storm once a week, where we can shut this BS out and give you a couple of laughs, even at our own expense, absolutely we want to do it. So take care of yourselves out there. Hopefully the rest of 2026 somehow does a major turnaround. I don't know. Certainly not starting very well, but take care of yourselves. And Chris, I echo it. Call your family, check in on your friends. You know what? Even if you got a dispute with somebody, you know what? Put it aside if you haven't heard from them for a while. Just call up and say, hey, you know what? Just checking in on you, just making sure it's all right. Water under the bridge. Let me know how you're doing.
Get out of that rabbit hole known as social media.
Yeah.
Very easy to get drawn in and scrolling for minutes that turn into hours. And it's really just watching the same or seeing the same shit over and over again posted by somebody else. And I've been guilty of it. I've made a conscious effort to take that step back. Mick, you said it well. I've got several people that we'll just say that we see differently. I try to put it aside, to leave it aside. It is difficult. I will admit that. But I think at the heart of everybody, I really do think the majority of people, I can't say everybody, I do think that we have more in common than we have differences. So take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones. It is a crazy, fucked up time right now. Peace to all, please.